What is going on, team? Coming at you all today with a little brewski, little non-alcoholic brewski, a little upside down from Athletic Brewing Company. So cheers, coming to you on a Sunday. So good. This has been a saving grace for me since I decided to quit drinking alcohol. There's a company called Athletic Brewing Co. And they basically just have a whole bunch of different non-alcoholic beer options. And they're legit. To be honest with you, I wasn't even really much of a beer drinker when I did drink. But now that I can't drink, or now that I choose not to drink, I've actually, really been able to incorporate these in when I do feel like having a drink. And so stepping away from watching football here today, obviously enjoying a brewski or two here while watching football. And so anyways, diving into this podcast here, I had some questions that came up from some members in our private Facebook group. Again, if you're not a part of that group, just search for I Coach Nutrition and Training on Facebook. And we have a private group that's been growing and growing and growing. And ultimately, it's just an awesome community, free community of education and support. So request to join that group if you would like to be a part of it. And like I said, there's just tons and tons of free value in there, as well as just support and accountability in that group. So one of the questions that came up was how to stick to your nutrition plan. One of the questions that I have people answer when they first request to join the group is what their number one issue with nutrition is. And so this was a question that came from one of the new members. They said, how do I stick to my nutrition plan? So I'll kick it off like this. I think number one of the biggest parts of sticking to your nutrition plan is actually understanding the plan, right? Realizing that the plan is not something that you're just doing for a day or a week or a month, right? It's not just like this 30-day challenge or whatever, but you're really trying to think about the plan in terms of what's the overall approach to the plan, right? What's the overall game plan and strategy for this plan? Right. And really being able to understand that and understand what you're working towards, right? Basically being able to establish, okay, what is your goal, right? And then let me reverse engineer the process so that then I can be able to create focus items week by week by week by week that will eventually lead me to accomplishing my goal, right? Because if you don't understand the plan, if you don't understand the overall game plan and the overall approach, right? And if you don't know where you're going, then you're not ever going to get there in the first place, right? And so truly making sure that once you've established what your goal is, you need to be able to also establish why do you want to accomplish this goal, right? And then from there, you need to actually build out the roadmap, right? The strategy, the game plan, so that you understand, okay, what is this process going to entail? You're not going to be able to just sit there and change your whole life overnight, right? So what's going to be kind of the approach, right? What's going to be the systems and processes that are going to get you to accomplishing that goal? And honestly, you could insert any goal in this, right? If you think about any goal that you've ever accomplished in your life, what have you done to be able to stick to the plan, right? Maybe you bring up finances, or maybe you bring up school, or maybe you like whatever it was that you accomplished previously. When you created that plan, right? How did you stick to the plan? Right? How are you consistent with the plan? What led to you being able to stick to it and see the process through and actually be able to accomplish your goal? Right? These are all questions that you really need to be thinking about. So that's what I would encourage you with is like, whether you're doing this on your own or whether you're working with a coach, you really need to make sure that you actually build out the roadmap, right? Actually build out the game plan and the strategy as to how you're going to get there. Right. And so start off with that 10,000 foot view of the goal and of the vision, right? Here's the goal. Here's what I want to accomplish. If you think to yourself, like, I love looking at this in terms of a year, right? Who is the person that I'm working to become over this next year, right? And from there might be a bunch of different goals that you want to accomplish within that next year, right? But from there, you've got to be able to reverse engineer the process. If I have a year-long goal, now let me reverse engineer that back into quarterly goals, and then monthly goals, and then weekly goals, and then daily goals, right? And that way you can be kind of having a checklist here in terms of making sure you're following through with the things that you say that you want to do, in order to be able to accomplish those little goals, right, along the way. So the little wins, those little goals, right, as they're starting to get checked off and as they're starting to get accomplished, those little wins start adding up to big wins. Okay. So for the one here that asked the question, how do I stick to my plan? I think a big key is actually making sure that you understand the plan, right? And not just not just being like, oh, I want to lose weight, right? Or, oh, I want to, do this or do that. But like really truly thinking about what is the goal? Why do you want to accomplish the goal? And then let me actually build out the roadmap as to how you're going to go from point A to point B. How are you going to actually accomplish the goal? Right? What potential setbacks could come up along the way? What potential hurdles could come up along the way? Right? How can you make sure that you're actually building this out step by step by step by step by step so that you can go along and be able to check off the boxes as time goes on? And those little wins, it motivates you, right? It helps you to be more consistent. It helps to hold you accountable, right? And so this is all some of the things that I do with my clients, right? Is we start off with an initial assessment. We review over a lot of different data to meet them where they are, and then ultimately be able to create the game plan and the strategy as to what the next year of coaching is going to look like, right? And then from there, we reverse engineer the process back and we start creating quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, daily goals, right? And then we get to work and we start working, right? We start putting in the work. Right? We start building awareness, we start tracking, we start building, we start tracking the data and building the awareness that it takes to start improving the good habits and getting rid of the bad habits and ultimately transforming their lifestyle, right? Because the reality of it is any goal that you want to accomplish, the reason why you haven't accomplished that goal already is because you're lacking, right? Either a belief or a trait or a skill set, right? And so we have to now start to think about, okay, who is the person that I'm working to become, right? What is that person defined as? What do they do? What does their everyday life look like, right? What does that person, feel and look and perform like, right? And then from there, you got to ask yourself, okay, where am I at now? And what are the changes that I have to make in order to be able to get to where I want to be, to become the person that I want to become? Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, hey, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them here below. I'm excited to start answering more and more of y'all's questions. For those of you that are coming into the Facebook group, honestly, I'm kind of just using this as like a Q&A in a sense for the podcast. So as you know, I post this video into the actual Facebook group. I try that group is a private group, so I do try to tag those people that ask those questions, and then that way, they're getting a video from me directly, right? And solving that number one problem for them. If you're on the podcast or YouTube or what have you here, this will be in the audio format, will be in video format. And most of the time, if one person has the question, there's a lot of people that have the question, right? So hopefully this not only helps the individual that asked this question here in my Facebook group, but also this goes on to help somebody else out there as well. Okay, awesome. Well, guys, cheers to Sunday football. Hope y'all are watching some football, hanging out with the fam there. And I hope this helps. If y'all have any questions at all, feel free to go jump in that Facebook group, ask your questions. If you're already in the group, feel free to make a post and ask a question there. I'd love to answer it. And other than that, happy Sunday, y'all. Sunday to y'all. I hope y'all have an amazing week, and we'll chat here soon. Thanks, guys.